All right. Um, Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to test audio for the next couple minutes to make sure everything is working. Testing, 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 testing. There's a lot of feedback. Test, 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 test. Test, test. Testing audio, testing audio. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing audio. Okay, LinkedIn confirmed works. Testing audio on X. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3, 4 on X. X works. Testing audio on YouTube. Testing audio. Okay, YouTube works. There's some latency there. Wow, there's like a full minute of latency for YouTube. Well, it's over a minute of latency on YouTube. That's crazy. All right, so we've confirmed audio works. Um, that's exciting. Better than yesterday. All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll get started. Um, Thank you, everyone who is showing up. I really appreciate it. And I have to apologize again for the audio issue yesterday. I've learned from that, and I have the chat window right here. So if there are any audio issues, please reach out and let me know, and I will adjust accordingly. But I've tested the audio across multiple platforms, so I hope we're good. So today, we're going to continue on with our journey of business evolution using AI as the framework, as the example that we're deep diving into to understand how we can innovate our business, develop new products, transform our business with this awesome new technology. So, in the last two business evolution masterclasses, we proved that AI is a credible technology with a large and rapidly growing market. And we proved that there's real customer demand and a diverse range of potential customers and unmet needs. And that just speaks to big opportunities. And I just want to say, as an aside, there's a lot of negative news in the market right now about AI and how Wall Street's disappointed with the lack of monetization from the investment that big tech is making in AI. And I think if we look at historical corollaries, other technologies that launched in the past, like the iPhone, or even personal computers, laptops, televisions, radios, cars, planes. uh, there's always a long latency between when a new technology launches and when a new technology becomes relevant. I think what we're seeing right now is just impatience from Wall Street. I don't think it's invalidating or discrediting the value of AI. What I think it is doing is just demonstrating how Wall Street wants more earnings faster. So today we're going to dive into uh, a document that I created, and I put the link to the document in the chat. If you'd like to follow along, you can do that. Um, so the question is, now that we've validated that this is a real opportunity, where do we start? And what's fun about AI in particular is that AI actually enables and accelerates our ability to get the work done. And what does that mean? So, previously it would have been difficult and time consuming to come up with a vision. You wouldn't necessarily want to create a vision until you'd kind of maybe gotten a little bit further into market. I think that with AI right now, it presents a really unique opportunity for us to use data to accelerate what we think is possible, and then work backwards from customer requirements, work backwards from the possible to where we are, and then architect a vision going forward. And if you talk to any credible venture capitalist or any board that has ambition, like let's say you're trying to pitch using AI in your company, they're going to want to understand, okay, look, where are we today? But really importantly, where are we going to be tomorrow? The journey of new technology is long. And the more that you can paint the picture of the future, the easier it is to get funding, the easier it is to get buy-in for a longer journey. And that's ultimately going to make you more successful. So today, I'm going to walk you through a proven process that I've used in my career. It's a combination of Amazon's PRFAQ process, and that's press release and frequently asked questions process. We're not going to dive into the frequently asked questions part today, but we are going to dive into the press release, because the press release is a great vision setting tool to help us determine what it is that we're trying to achieve. We're going to inform that press release also with guiding principles, which are an orientation of where we're going. As well, we're going to create a value proposition for our initial business model. And we're going to base all of this off of the research that I've done to date. Now, it's important to note that everything that I'm recommending is stuff that I've used in my career, and it's stuff that I've learned. I'm not making this up. I'm simply sharing what I've learned. And so I need to start by thanking everyone who I've learned from in my career, and I'm still learning. As much as I am on a camera sharing what I know, the reality is I'm still learning every day. So let's dive into how we do this. First off, as you would have seen in the last couple videos, as we were validating the technology and validating the market, most of what we do in the early phases of innovation, of any sort of new business that is based on emerging technology, is to understand what's going on, and that's simply research. So to do the research to create this vision, I started by validating the technology, and you can watch that video to see the research we did there. And then I moved on to validating the market opportunity and the customer use cases, and that research is also public. Now, what I did in addition to that is I spoke with VCs from a bunch of different firms. And I also spoke with academics, so people who are professors in different Ivy League institutions, to try and understand their perspective, because this is very much still, in so many instances, it's a science project in some ways. What is AI going to be? I spoke with CEOs, CIOs, CTOs, CFOs, my peers, to understand what they're thinking about AI for their company. And then I spoke with over 20 of my friends and colleagues at Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and some startups to understand what exactly they think of technology, of AI as a technology. I also read 30 market research reports and 20 scientific papers. Now, as I was going through all of this, I documented the requirements that people said. So for an example, I was talking with a friend at Google, and interestingly enough, I said, "Hey, what do you think of AI?" And she said, "I don't. I don't think of AI. I don't use it. Like some people on my team use it to accelerate product requirements or for quality assurance, things like that, but I don't really use it that much." And then we had a fun conversation based on that. She doesn't use it, but what do you think about it? Where do you think it's going? Do you think you will use it? And what are your concerns? Why wouldn't you use it? Why haven't you used it? What would it take to get you to use it? I asked all the basic questions that I'd want to understand to help that person bridge the divide from where they are to using AI. And all of the concerns that she raised, all of the use cases that she raised, I documented. And I put those into a big document, and then I just uploaded them to AI. I use Claude. Claude is, in my opinion, right now, the most consistent of the AIs that we have access to. And the tools that Claude provides, I think, are really, really effective. First, Claude is a AI that is founded on alignment. So I really appreciate that. And what that means is that Claude is not going to give me results that are unethical, immoral, illegal. Theoretically, it's not a perfect tool, but if you try to ask Claude to do something that's wrong, Claude will correct you and say, "I'm not going to do that." Much more so than the current model at OpenAI. And I'm not criticizing OpenAI's model. I just find Claude to be much more aligned. And so I like working there because it makes, I always use AI for business purposes, and I never want to do anything that's inappropriate. So I took all my notes. And when I say notes, I mean, I had a conversation with people. At the end of that conversation, I wrote down what they liked, didn't like, what the gaps were, and how we can fill the gaps, and my hypothesis of how we can fill the gaps. And the first thing I asked Claude to do was please carefully review my notes and extract the technical capabilities implied. Please be specific as possible. And if Claude needs to use multiple prompts to respond, please do so. Thorough is critical. And the reason I start with the technical requirements from my notes is I have just been a product person for so long. I've managed engineering teams for so long that I tend to write in functional requirements and non-functional requirements. And if I found working with AI that if I start with the business requirements or ask the technology to extract the business requirements first, I don't get as good of results ultimately. Once I have extracted the technical requirements, I ask it to run the process again and then turn everything into business friendly language that is clear and concise, easily readable and easily understandable by a wide business audience. Then I ask Claude to cluster it by business function. And what that does is it starts to define who the customer is for those requirements by kind of job title or organizational role. Um, One of the things I always run a quality assurance, if you ever see a round number in your response set, like 10, that just means that the AI gave up in most instances. And it's important to ask, look, if you landed at 10, is 10 the whole thing? Are there more departments that need to be considered? Then I asked, you know, I read the requirements and I noticed that Claude did not respond with any AI requirements. And I was like, how did you miss that? And it went back through and updated the requirements with AI. And I said, please verify that this is all 58 requirements. And it missed one. And then, one of the big requirements that I heard from users was open source, and Claude missed that. And so I asked Claude to please go through and reincorporate the open source. Now, this may seem like a lot of iteration. There's 7 prompts that I went through to get to the customer requirements. But if I was to have done this manually by myself, this would have taken a day or half a day at best. If I was to do this with a team, it could take substantially longer as they have to go and really ruminate and think about how to cluster and how to filter and how to precisely define the requirement. And so, Claude's not perfect. These definitely could be optimized further, but it's such a radical acceleration. Like I, as an individual, can go through, 30 some conversations, take my notes, read 50 documents, take my notes, and simply upload them into an AI. And with 8 prompts, 7 prompts, get really clean business clustered requirements. Really clean requirements clustered by business function. This is incredible. I mean, this is game changing. And so for me, I find this to be a radical accelerant in how to create requirements for the customer. And why are we starting by creating requirements? We're starting here uh, because this is the foundation of our vision. We start with the customer needs that we can clearly see today in the research and in the conversations that we have, and we document those needs. And then this is what AI needs to do for it ultimately to get into market and solve customer problems. Now, with this found, I won't go over all of these. It's obviously a lot, but I would encourage you to potentially try this with your own network. Go talk to 5 of your friends and ask them what do they think about AI. When you're done with the conversation, write down your notes, understand what it is they like and don't like, what it is they're excited about and fear, and from there you can start to work backwards towards what it is that you would need to build solutions that solve customer problems using AI. And that ultimately is how you're going to build a real solution. And especially when we're thinking about building things that are very long term, the solution is going to come by solving real customer problems. So the faster you can get to having a foundation of real customer problems, the faster you're getting to a precise solution that's going to get market traction, that's going to allow you to grow and scale your AI business. Now, I found that in every domain I've worked in, education, payments, retail, in media, advertising, anti-fraud, sports, whatever group I'm helping, whatever company I'm working for, whatever I'm building, guiding principles are foundational. And what guiding principles are simple uh, truths about the product that have to be brought to life. You know, for AI, the truth that we found is it needs to have data driven agility, meaning it needs to integrate real time across business functions and allow businesses to make quick, informed decisions, adapting rapidly to market changes. Now, what does that mean? If you're a business owner, you don't want to have to think about AI. You want AI to think for you. You want it to ingest your data and tell you what to do. And you need the system to update itself based on the data that it sees. And that's the big accelerant for AI. And so to extract the guiding principles, I took the requirements, I dumped it into Claude, and I said, please read the requirements. Just number one, that's the context window that I'm creating, and the context window for AI is the kind of immediate RAG or the immediate augmentation of the AI, so that it understands what you're trying to optimize. And for this, I said, what would you say based on this entire thread of the 58 requirements? Upload that in the Claude. What would you say the top 5 themes or guiding principles are from the customer requirements? Pretend you're the customer and think through all the requirements. Please detail your logic excruciatingly. Please explain yourself thoroughly. Then only list 5 simple themes. Use multiple prompts if needed. We must get it right. So Claude produced several guiding principles that were not clear. So I asked for clarification. And if Claude gives me something that's not clear, I raise the stakes. What does that mean? Uh, please remember raising the stakes with Claude. I find this works with Claude. I don't find this works so much with AI, OpenAI. I don't find it works so much with Gemini or with Meta AI, but with Claude, I find that it seems to think more, think deeper, think better if I put some really foundational risk in the AI having the wrong response. So I articulate, you know, the guiding principles will determine the course of our business. With that context in mind, please review the others, as this was a grave error, and it could have derailed our whole business, and dozens of people could have lost their job. That it sounds hyperbolic, and I know I'm characterizing like this dramatic situation, but the reality is Claude gets a lot better when I do that. It's wonderfully better. And what I saw between prompt one and prompt two is that Claude produced a significant difference. And so I asked, hey, listen, I saw a big difference. Would you please run this again? And same context, hey, this is a big risk if you get it wrong. And what I got from that were 15 guiding principles. I took those, I put them into a Google document, and I just manually edited them. And why do we do this? What's the whole point? The whole point of this are these questions. When working on any aspect of a new solution, I will regularly refer back to these principles and ask, are we building towards our guiding principle? How does this feature or component contribute to data-driven agility? Are we maintaining comprehensive security and compliance? Is this leveraging intelligent automation, et cetera, et cetera? These questions I can hand to a team, I can ask myself, and it gives me a real efficient way of narrowing the scope of a project and aligning with customer requirements so that we're sure that everything we do meets customer requirements. Now, again, Claude's not perfect. I had to do it 3 times. I got 15 results. It took manual review. But the reality is, compared to getting into a room with executives and debating, this is much, much faster. And if you've ever had to align an executive team or work to align an executive team, a lot of the variance in the conversation comes from beliefs, and those are great. People have great beliefs. I found it's better to go and interview everyone before you get in the room, and then go in the room with guiding principles saying, hey, I've talked to all of you, and now we're going to align on how to do this based upon what I heard from you. And that would take me as a person days to get these right. Not days of full-time work, but you have your full-time job and you're running through meetings. And as you're trying to get these pulled together for that specific pitch, it just takes so long to synthesize this data. So I find Claude to be a radical accelerant and giving me the guiding principles that I need to align executive teams and align my own thinking, and ultimately align the team that is going to build the solution. What's really important to remember is that these principles are not set in stone. The more we learn about the customer, the more these principles will evolve, and the more the competition and technology evolves, likewise, the principles will too. And that is the opportunity, is to keep iterating those and making it better. Now, this is where we get into the Amazon PRFAQ process. The foundation of Amazon's PRFAQ, and again, that's press release and frequently asked questions, PR, press release, frequently asked questions, FAQ. The heart of that process are these 5 questions. And the reason I love the press release format in particular is it forces the thought to get real specific. We have to actually think through who's the customer, what's the problem, what's the most important customer benefit, how do you know what customers need or want, and what does the customer experience look like? Now, based on my research, based on all my conversation, and based on the above iterations that we did, wherein we looked at the user requirements and the guiding principles, I was able just to write these really quickly. Who's the customer? A business leader considering AI for their business. What's the customer problem or opportunity? Customer needs to understand how to effectively adopt and implement AI in their business to drive success, improve operations, and stay competitive. Now, what's really exciting about this framework is that when you look at the actual customer requirements and you talk to customers, the solutions that they need for AI right now are not technical. People don't need really advanced AIs. What they need is training. What they need is cultural transformation. And so, a lot of startup founders that I'm talking to, a lot of businesses that I talk to, they're thinking they have to make massive, massive technical investments in order to start seeing the benefits from AI. And over time, that's absolutely true. But this is not like the cloud migration. This is not like the mobile from, the migration from web to mobile or mobile to app. This is not a technical migration in the first instance. It's actually just a cultural migration. It's a training migration. We're going to have to evolve how people work, and they can get benefits from AI today, like I'm explaining to you. And so I thought that was really exciting to kind of illuminate that. What does the customer experience look like? It's actually just coaching and consulting. That if you understand how to use AI, you can create a business today that helps people build solutions in their business with AI. And that is true in the evidence. If you look at the uh, market validation, that's what came out of the market validation. That's what customers want, is coaching and support. If you look at the technology validation, that's what came out of that too. There's a lot of development in the technology, but the real customer use case is simple human to human coaching and consulting. I think that's a big opportunity. The more that people lean into that opportunity, the faster they're going to find that they can build an AI business. Now that we understand the customer, we understand the guiding principles, and we've answered the 5 questions, we're going to fill out the value proposition template. I apologize if I'm blazing through this really, really quickly. This is a lot. And, if we were to actually try and do like a one-on-one training, each one of these might be its own course. But I wanted to give everyone the high level framework so that you have what you need to make progress on this today. So the value proposition template is very simple. It's your product or brand name is a brand, product, or service that provides a core value proposition for a target customer. Unlike your competitors, your brand name offers a unique and differentiated value. Real simple template. And again, because AI is what it is, we can simply upload this into Claude, and keeping with the Claude example, and using this prompt, get a really good result. So the context window that I created for Claude is the chat that we've had ongoing throughout this thread, where again I uploaded my user requirements, we extracted the principles, and we extracted the requirements, and then I wrote the answers to the 5 questions. I put those 5 questions into Claude, asked his question, and I got a great value proposition. Howdo is a strategic AI consultancy that provides comprehensive guidance on AI adoption and implementation for business leaders considering AI for their organizations. Unlike traditional tech companies or general management consultancies, Howdo offers a unique combination of deep AI expertise, cross-industry insights, and ongoing strategic support to ensure successful business-specific AI integration and long-term competitive advantage. It only took 1 prompt, which I thought was awesome. But the reason it only took 1 prompt to get this value proposition is Claude had the context of everything else that we put in the chat. And that is again, incredible accelerant. I've had multiple hour-long meetings with very brilliant people to try and get the value proposition for a product that we're launching. And it's not because we're wasting time or inefficient, quite the opposite. It's because it's hard. It's really hard to nail down the value proposition. And so, again, these are things that are just radical time savers that were not available before AI. And breaking the product lifecycle, breaking the innovation lifecycle down into its constituent components and trying to extract what we can do to accelerate our innovation with AI right now, it's just phenomenal. I'm consistently impressed with how we can conceptually move so much further faster, get so much more aligned with the customer than we ever could before. And as with everything, the value proposition is not static. And yet, the value proposition is literally the cornerstone of a successful business. So, the next thing that I want to do with this value proposition is go test it with customers. And I'll do that because it's fun. Also, based on every customer that I work with and talk to, they want this. And based on the research, it's what is needed. So I'm excited about, kind of testing this. And you should use this too. This is a great value proposition for any business. And there's so much room in this space. I'm not a crazy person, giving away the secrets to a tiny little solution. There will be thousands and thousands of companies that provide these services, and it's beneficial to share this, I think, because it's ultimately going to accelerate AI. Sorry. Now, the next step is to write the press release. And this is the PR in Amazon's PR FAQ process. Why do we write a press release? Now, we're not writing this to share it with the public. We're writing this to share it with ourselves, to share it with our internal team, to set a vision of where we're going, how we're going to get there, and what that journey looks like, what the end state looks like, what the customer is going to say when we get there. Walking through this process, it gives us a very concise narrative in a I don't know if that's too small, I apologize. But it gives us a very concise narrative that allows us to understand where we're taking our business and what it's going to be like when we get there. So let me give you the result, and then and I won't read this whole thing. I'll just read a bit of it. But then you'll see kind of how it helps anyone that I talk to understand what we're trying to do. And it also helps yourself understand what you're trying to do. So today, starting here, oops. We're going to just read this. So Howdo is founded by blah, blah, blah. But Howdo introduces a comprehensive AI adoption and implementation service for business leaders, combining deep tech expertise with strategic business insights. There's our one sentence summary. That's going to allow anyone to understand what we do. And so I could go talk to any customer and say, I say, hey, listen, I can help you with comprehensive AI adoption and implementation. And the way I do that is I combine my deep tech expertise with strategic business insights. Quick little elevator pitch. From there, we expand out and articulate exactly what the value proposition is. Today, Howdo announced the launch of its strategic AI consultancy service designed to guide business leaders through the complex process of adopting and implementing artificial intelligence in their organizations. Blah, 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 me. In today's rapidly evolving business landscape, organizations face challenges in effectively leveraging AI to drive growth and maintain competitiveness. Howdo addresses this critical need by providing a comprehensive, tailored approach to AI implementation that covers data-driven agility, security, compliance, intelligent automation, scalable infrastructure, and continuous improvement. Now, that's obviously not entirely true today, right? Like we don't do 100% of that today. I don't, I help my clients right now simply understand the cultural and team transformation. A lot of this technology stuff will come later. It's not even capable yet. But that's why we set the press release, because we want to be working towards something. We want to have a goal that we're building the business towards, and this press release helps set that goal. It gives us a quote from me so that I can explain to the customer exactly what I'm doing. And it comes up with a quote from the end customer. This is what we want to hear from the customer. And it just clearly articulates the different value propositions that we have in the business. To get this, it's simple. In the same context window, in the same chat that we had with all the other steps that we've taken so far, we just upload Amazon's press release template. From that upload, we get this result. I won't read the prompt. It's available for you to download for free. Um, all we have to do is upload that prompt, and then I do a quality assurance prompt, which is, please help me smooth this section out and eliminate redundancy. Please keep the tone and walk me through the logic for all changes. Now, by doing that prompt multiple times, I get multiple versions of this. I take those versions, I put them in a Google Doc, and then I just edit them together. I pick the stuff that I know is true. I pick the stuff that I hear in the customer language that resonates with the customers I understand. And I built this document. Again, it, you know, this, I can't even express how long this takes. You would work on a press release at Amazon. I would work on a press release for days, literally full time, trying to wordsmith this down to make it perfect. As I've pitched boards and venture capitalists, I always try to pull together something like this so I can clearly articulate the value proposition. It's really easy to build pitch decks once you have this context established. And so I am always trying to get this done faster and faster and faster. And with Claude and this simple prompt and this simple QA, I'm able to get this done in a couple hours, whereas it literally would take me a couple full-time days. Once I have this press release formatted, it's so easy then to go and understand what I want to communicate with the customers and how I want to test this with the customers. And once we have all of this pulled together, we can then go test our value proposition with the customer. We can take our press release and go communicate with customers and say, this is the service I provide. Does this interest you? And they can say yes, or they can say no. And sorry, I apologize. And that gives us an ability to validate our business concept before we have to invest a ton of money. And that's the whole goal of all of this, is to reduce the risk of failure by validating the business concept before we spend our money. So that's a real quick overview of the process required to get to your vision, to build your guiding principles, and to ultimately build a solution that allows you to be aligned with the customer from the first instance, understand the vision of where you're going, and drive your thoughts very quickly towards alignment with the customer, and ultimately build a business that has high potential. And again, I just want to say, a lot of people are focusing on AI as a technology problem right now. It's very much a training problem right now. The technology will get there. And with the several $100 billion being spent on foundation models this year, just in training, we should expect the technology to get there pretty rapidly. So that's it for today. If there are any questions, please let me know. I realize this was a lot of information that we went through real fast, but that's why I created a really thorough document for you to understand it. And hopefully that helps you get this done on your own. I mean, if it doesn't make sense, all I would say is go talk to 5 people, document your findings, and walk through the process. By the end of the process, you'll have a very clear understanding of a business that you could create. And it's a real rapid way to build a framework that allows you to potentially, with credibility, invest in your AI innovation and your AI solution. So thank you for listening today. And with that, I'll see if there are any questions. And I apologize. In testing, I realized that there's a 1.5 minute latency for YouTube. So I'm just going to hop around the different channels to see if anyone is commenting. Okay, there's some, but I can deal with those directly. I don't think they're generally relevant to this specifically. All right. Well, I will talk to you later. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please download this document and try. And most importantly, please reach out if you have any questions. I'm happy to help you through it. All right. Take care.